and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 133. We are jumping right in today, and I'm saying happy birthday to you January 15th babies. I'll be reading from the birthday book, and we're going to get to know you. So here we go.
Happy birthday.
January 15th people aspire to perfection, but this desire is generally not fueled by the need to be top dog and reach the pinnacle of their profession, although they frequently do so. Rather than being driven primarily by personal ambition, they are motivated by idealistic and ethical concerns, and demonstrate a strong urge to leave a moral and useful life, hoping to inspire others by their example. From a very early age, these people may manifest a sure, almost intuitive, sense of right and wrong. This tendency may, however, result in a propensity to see things in black and white, and to dismiss the various shades of gray in between without, according to them, the necessary sympathetic and thorough consideration. These people are especially sensitive to the suffering of others, and because they are blessed with strong analytical and rational intellectual powers, they are also able to channel their emotional responses into the formulation of a carefully considered plan of action in an attempt to alleviate injustice or distress. They perform best within a team framework that offers the mutual support and encouragement of others, and where their strong convictions will provide inspiration and leadership. For this reason, January 15 people are particularly suited to careers in the caring professions or in the emergency services, but some are also talented artists. They are devoted to their family and friends, desiring to bring out their happiness rather than see them succeed at all costs. They should take care to draw a clear demarcation line between their professional and personal concerns so that they do not impose the crushing burden of living up to their own lofty, idealistic expectations on those closest to them. Their virtues are idealistic, public-spirited, empathetic. Their vices are judgmental, stubborn, inflexible. So happy birthday again, you January 15th babies. If this sounds like you or somebody that you know, as always, let me know, and let's go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from Brelapser81 on Reddit.
When I was 14, me, my two brothers, and Mum moved homes. It was a council house in my hometown of Lee, Greater Manchester. It took us about 1 month to decorate and get all settled in when we all started hearing noises coming from upstairs. It sounded like footsteps and switches being turned on and off. At the time, we had 3 cats, and they were all very hesitant to go upstairs. And when we could hear the noises, the cats would look up and follow the sound. If we picked any of the cats up to take them upstairs, they would struggle with us and make it clear they didn't want to go up there. After several months of living there, the noises would get more frequent. And then one night, my mom said she was in her bed, reading, and she felt one side of her bed dip down, and it felt like someone sitting at the side of her. After being there for 4 years, we were all used to it, and the noises seemed to settle down. Even the cats would venture upstairs. One of them would even sleep in me and my brother's bedroom, as at the time I shared a room with my younger brother. When I turned 18, my older brother had moved out, and my mom got a job managing a pub. She moved into the flat above it. So it was just me and my younger brother and the cats living there now. I quickly moved into my older brother's old room, which was my first time having my own room. I made it my own, and my younger brother used the extra space in his room to get a weightlifting bench. He didn't use it much, and he would hang his clothes on hangers on the bar. This played a part in what happened next. One night, I had gone to bed as normal at 10 p.m., and I quickly fell asleep. After a few hours, I was woken up by a loud sound from my brother's room. I quickly jumped out of bed and opened my brother's door, and the cat came running out. My brother had clearly just woken up as well. I immediately noticed that the clothes my brother had hung up on his barbell were swaying back and forth. And the sound that woke us up was the bar that had 60 kg on it, plus the clothes had been picked up and dropped back down. We were both a bit freaked out because that was the loudest thing we had heard from the house. But nothing like that happened again until a time when my younger brother had gone to Spain with my mom, and I was on my own in the house. But I had booked a trip with friends to Ibiza. The night before our flight, I asked one of my friends to stay at my house because he was a heavy sleeper and was difficult to wake up, and we didn't want him to be late for the flight. He came to my house around 4 p.m. I already told him that he might hear footsteps upstairs, but I don't think he believed me. It was summer, and it was a very warm day, so I had the back door open to let some breeze in, and we were both sat in the living room. Then the footsteps started. My friend knew it was only us in the house because anybody else would have had to walk past us to go upstairs. The footsteps got louder, a lot more than usual, and then all of a sudden it sounded like a very large person running down the stairs. We both ran out of the house before whatever it was reached the bottom step. My friend refused to go back in, and I reluctantly went back in to get my passport and luggage and to feed the cats and leave them some water because my older brother would come home the next day to feed them until my younger brother came back. Nothing much happened after that. I speculate that whatever it was used to me and my brother's presence, and it didn't like new people in the house. About 2 years later, we moved out of the house, and a new tenant moved in. And about 6 months later, the new tenant went to my mom's pub and asked if we experienced any strange things in my house. My mom told them the truth, but told them it was harmless and they'll get used to it. I mean, yes, you will get used to it if it's just noises. At first, it is very freaky, but then, you just get used to it. It's like living with another person in your house, except for the fact that you can't see them. It's still freaky nonetheless, but I like the fact that someone else moved in and then immediately went and told this person's mom that, hey, we have things going on. Did this happen to you? Because then that just kind of, to me, confirms that there is something in the house. It's not just one family experiencing it, it's another one. I kind of find it sad though that this ghost drove out the friend, basically. That's what it feels like to me. I obviously don't know if there were any other friends that had ever stayed over or family or anything like that. I did not ask this person, but I'd be curious to know if anybody did, because was this the first time that the spirits have literally made somebody run out of the house, including the person who lives there, or I should say lived there, but But now I just need the details of the history of this house, because clearly, this is another case of the others. I'm gonna flat out say it. It is another case of the others. Ghosts are living there still. Humans are living alongside them. This one isn't too terribly spooky. Well, it depends on what you consider spooky, but this one isn't too terribly spooky to me. But I can imagine in that moment, hearing thunderous footsteps going down the stairs would be pretty terrifying, honestly. But at the same time, if it's just noises and walking around, I could see how you get used to that, having grown up in a haunted home myself, but you do just kind of get used to it. But anyhow, I would like to know your guys' opinions, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from Poonthedick on Reddit.
So this happened around 11 or 12 p.m. when I was about 12 to 14. I was sitting on my couch watching TV while everybody else was either gone or asleep at my house. When I was finally going to get up and go to bed, I heard a bell ring. It was a clear sound, and it didn't sound like wind chimes. Mind you, I have a bell in my room, and my parents' room is next to mine. I thought it was my mom pranking me for a second since she was the only one home. But after the bell rang again, and sounding more angry or impatient, I knew it wasn't her. Just in case, I started calling her. And when I did, the bell kept ringing and got louder and louder. It was also scary because it wasn't a certain pattern, just sporadic. It ended after my mom answered my call, groggy from sleep. I still don't know how I heard it because my mom didn't, and she is an extremely light sleeper. So her sleeping through the loud ringing surprised me. Yeah, I'd probably pee myself if I heard a bell ringing in my house, especially when you know that there's only 2 of you in the home and one of you are sleeping. And then when the other person who is clearly asleep wakes up and you're hearing a noise and they don't hear it, that's freaky. And why a bell? What kind of spirit rings a dang bell? All I can think of is more cowbell. And if you know that reference, then you're old like me. But anyhow, I find this one interesting because the bell starts dinging more when the person acknowledges it. I can picture them panicking. It's like a horror movie. And the bell just starts going crazy. The only part of this horror movie is that nothing popped out and went boo, you know? Nothing popped out. I don't know. I'd be curious to see if this person had any other experiences with a bell ringing, or if this was just a one-off, one-time thing. And what does that mean? I don't think I've ever heard of something where a bell is ringing like crazy, unless it's a horror movie. But if you guys know, please let me know. And also, if you have a story like either story today, head on over to my website and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to itsanoddworldafterall.com.